Hello, and welcome to Storiosity. I'm your host, Claire Boston. In this series, we explore the stories of people in the Storm Lake community. The story we're going to hear today is about David Walker, City Councilman for Storm Lake, and who is an Associate Professor of Theater at Buena Vista University. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. So, David, you're originally from the Storm Lake area. You're not originally from the Storm Lake area, my bad. What is your position was it your position at Buena Vista University that brought you to Storm Lake originally, or was it something else?
Actually, Bethany's family grew up here in Storm Lake. Her mom grew up and went to Storm Lake High, and her grandparents, and great-grandparents lived here in town. The family built a home here in 1899, okay. And we have graduation certificates from BVU of her great-grandmother going to school here. So there's always been a family home, and Bethany and I finished our education, and we were looking for places to go to work, and we sent one here, and luckily BVU had a position open for someone to do theater and communications, and I have very emphasis in both. So we were able to come here, and that was 20 years ago. I'll be finishing my 20th year here at BV this year.
That's crazy. So, and Bethany is your
wife? Yeah, Bethany Larson, Dr. Bethany Larson.
Ooh.
Got to throw that in there.
So, a few years ago, you successfully ran for City Council. What kind of prompted that, and have you ever held public office before then?
I had not held a public office before at that time. I had actually, when I moved to town, we started working on the house and building and such on the old house. And I met Scott Olson at that time, who is the code enforcement officer. Through conversations that we had, and I decided that I wanted to give back to the community. I was already working in the JCs and a couple other civic groups, and I decided that I wanted to do something with the government, city government. And he suggested that I become a member of what's called, it's a subcomponent of planning and zoning, which is Board of Adjustment. And Board of Adjustment hears appeals through the P&Z board, and that group decides whether or not to allow an exception to a rule. And so I started there in that commission, and as I got more familiar with City Hall and how they worked, I got more comfortable. And so when the next opportunity arose, I decided to run for City Council.
That's really awesome. So at the time you were running for office, what were your main objectives or your goals, or what was your platform, I guess, would be a better way to phrase that.
City politics are very different than like either regional or state level. At the time that I decided to run, we had a pretty stable city council, but we were also in a transition. There were people leaving the city council for other purposes, and we had a shift in management. When that void hits, sometimes you have people that run on very personal platforms. I want to do this, and I want my business to do better, or whatever the case may be. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want someone that had one idea that they wanted to promote in the community. I thought that it was needed for somebody to think about the entire picture. And so I decided to run. So I very early put my name in the hat, got my signatures down that I needed to run, and I just sat back and waited. I didn't do any advertisement. I didn't do any yard signs or things like that, because people knew who I was from all of the work that I'd been doing in the community on the civic side. And when the election day came around, I received enough votes to be elected to the council. So that was this. I'm now in my actually second term. So
wow. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
So on the council, you're also Mayor Pro Tem. Tell us a little more about that, and if there are any other kind of community or special groups that you serve on.
The position of Mayor Pro Tem is when the mayor got other obligations, and there's something that happens with the city, I become the mayor for the day. Which is very interesting, because the way our council is set up, the mayor does not have a vote on issues coming to council. So, excuse me, so that whenever I'm Mayor Pro Tem, I get to be mayor, but I also get to vote, which is very different than what is normally happening. But the mayor pro tem position is a help to the mayor. It's also a way to keep things going when the mayor's out of town or what have you. But the other side benefit to that is, as mayor pro tem, I also sit on various different boards and commissions as the voice of Storm Lake within that organization. So like I sit on the Lake Improvement Commission, I sit on 2 or 3 other boards as the designate for the city. If there's a special group or committee that's formed, I become part of the membership of that group. Beyond just being a city councilman, we are also tasked with what are called drainage districts, which is where water sheds into the city or out of the city. I'm on those boards as well. So in any given month, I'll have between 10 and 15 different committee meetings or board meetings.
So now here you are in your second term. What are some of the issues that you see the city of Storm Lake facing now?
The city of Storm Lake is actually pretty stable. With the downturn in the economy a few years ago, we were able to position ourselves so that we didn't get caught out. A lot of smaller towns are now in debt and such. We are actually very good. The areas, though, that we need to bolster to help us with our next phase, we're behind in our new housing stock. And so we need to create new housing opportunities in the city for our workers who work at our various plants, but also the managers and other people who would like to move to town. So we're working on increasing the number of housing units that are going up in town. With that, you also have to have new businesses and such to help fill in those gaps. And so it's really interesting to see the housing sparking business and business sparking more housing. So it would be very nice to see Storm Lake move to above 15,000 people, because once we hit that mark, we'll be able to entice other companies to come to town too. So.
All right. Well, great. Thank you so much for that information, and thank you for everything you've shared so far. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back with David Walker to hear more about his story, and maybe we can get a little more personal. Stay tuned.
Storm Lake, Iowa has something for everyone in each store. Whether you're shopping for housewares, clothing, a delicious meal, or just a good time, Storm Lake has stylish boutiques, unique shops, exquisite dining, and fun entertainment for you and your family. Cap off your visit with a stroll along the beautiful lake. Make your plans to visit Storm Lake, Iowa today. They have everything you're looking for all in one place. To learn about all the events coming up in Storm Lake, go to Visit Storm Lake.
Family wanted a vacation closer to home this year, but still have the resort experience. Kings Point in Storm Lake is the perfect retreat for us. The kids love the one-of-a-kind water slides. Me, I like the time to relax with my husband. Amazing beds, oversized rooms, and a beautiful view. This is what my husband and I call vacation. The restaurant has wonderful full service and a menu tailored to all ages. Kings Point Resort is our new choice for quality family vacations.
Welcome back. We're here with David Walker. Now, David, before the break, we were talking a little bit about your activities on the City Council. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about something personal. You faced some health challenges recently, including a heart procedure. Can you talk a little more about what happened?
I am blessed with probably the worst set of genes humanly possible. The heritage that I come from, the family fights heart disease, diabetes, all kinds of different maladies. And because of that, I've had to be very careful about my health. And one of the things that we found about 12 years ago was that I had a blockage on my heart. And it was basically found by accident, and we went in, did an angiogram, which is where they place a catheter into your heart and pump dye into it to take a look to see what the veins are doing on your heart. And we found one that was 100% blocked. And so it was a moment of, it was panic of sorts, but it was a very easy procedure. They put a stent in, and I walked out of the hospital the next day and felt really great. Things were fantastic. And then about a year and a half ago, I started noticing the same kinds of signs in my body. And so we had another stent placed, and just literally Monday of this week, I had my third stent put in my heart. So now I have 2 on the left side of my heart and 1 on the right side of my heart. But the technologies that are now out there and available, I have one little punch that went in here. They placed the catheter here into my heart, did the exam, found the place where it was clogged, and were able to put a stent in it, and I walked out the next day. So it's kind of like rocket science or something out of Star Trek. People looked at me and goes, why are you here? And so it's like, because the medicine's that good, and things work very well. But I do have to watch out for certain things, and there's a lot of people that should be listening to their bodies more. There's been a few people here in Storm Lake that were young men that have passed away because they didn't listen to their bodies, had a heart attack, and died. And so it's part of my mission now to use myself as a big, huge billboard that says you don't have to do that. You don't have to leave your family and your friends and because of something silly or stupid. There's some great commercials on right now about this guy out watering his lawn, and the house is burning behind him, and the woman says, "Why aren't you? Oh, it's just a little fire. It's not a big deal. I don't want to trouble anybody." And you'd be surprised how many people are like that. And it's very quick. It's very simple. If you think that it's going to take a lot of time out of your life, it's not. I walked in at 7:30 in the morning and walked out at 2:30 in the afternoon, and am now healthier than I was before. So it's not a big deal, and it shouldn't be thought of as one. And people need to listen to their bodies more. So
I completely agree. So you've been very open about this whole procedure. And we've got a couple minutes before, or we got a couple before and after shots. Would you like to explain them?
This is actually, the heart is kind of shaped like a football, and the bottom corner of the heart is what you're actually looking at here in these pictures. The one that's to the left there is the before, and you can see that there's no blood flowing off of that tip, and then there's a line drawn in the one on the right, and that's where the stent was placed. And after the stent was put in, there's actually blood flow to the bottom corner of the heart. And what symptoms I had is that I would get out of my car and walk to my office, and I would have pain and pressure in my chest, like I had to burp real bad or I had indigestion. I would sit and it would go away after about 2 or 3 minutes. And that's one of the fallacies that people get caught in, is that, oh, it went away, so it must not be anything. But when it's happening over and over and over again, it really does need to be dealt with. But these are before and after pictures, and so you can see that the stent is open and working, and my other 2 stents are clean too, so I felt very good about that. So
good.
A lot of people tell me that I do need to slow down, and it does kind of make you think twice about taking on new and additional responsibilities. But the other part of it is I like what I do. I like being busy, but if it comes to either family or doing those things, I'll pick family and slow down. But for right now, everything is good, so
that's great.
Keep running.
Well, I certainly wish you the best.
Thank you.
So on a more upbeat note, when you think about kind of all of your activities and your family and your career, what do you think is your greatest personal success?
I really like getting emails of students that I've had that are on to their next job or doing something different, or doing fun things with their world. And that, I've been here 20 years, so I have all of those students from all of those 20 years that send me emails of, hey, I got this new job, or I'm doing this new thing. Or I'll get an email from a student saying, that class that I took that I didn't think I needed, well, guess what? I'm using it now. And so those are fun. I do enjoy the successes of the students that I've had, and I hope for more successes and bigger successes, because that's what I'm here for.
That's great. So that's all the time we have for now. We'd like to thank our guest, David Walker, for joining us today. I'm your host, Claire Boston. Thank you for tuning in to Storiosity, where everyone has a story. Goodbye.